It's Sunday, August 14th, 2022. This is all about your Benjamin's weekly mixtape and weekend review video. Hope you had a great week. As you can see, if you're watching this on the blog, there's only a handful of headlines, 5 up there. So let's get to them real quick and check out the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. And we start off with CPI, aka inflation. And we saw inflation come down but still be high. The president actually said inflation was 0, which technically there was no more inflation over the last month, but inflation is not down to 0. So semantics with words to try to make things a little bit better than what they might really be. Nonetheless, inflation was 8.5% versus the 9.1 or so that it was the month prior. So we talked about maybe inflation was peaking, but just because it peaks and begins to come down, it doesn't mean that it gets back to normal levels. And also remember, unlike the idea of, okay, now it's down, it's not going to retrace, meaning prices that went up over the last year are going to continue to stay there. That's a new baseline, if you will. And now future inflation numbers are going to move that number up. So even though inflation slows, even though inflation goes back to where it was, it doesn't mean that prices revert back to what we were used to. It's kind of like a high water mark. So meaning that is where it's going to be locked in, and then future inflation numbers are going to grow on top of that number. So it doesn't fix things, but nonetheless, it's good to see that inflation might be slowing down. We'll see what happens in the coming months, if it was a one-time thing or if it really is there, and how quickly can it come down. Obviously, you know, the Federal Reserve is watching it and they're making their decisions based on that. So we'll see how that impacts what they may or may not do. They're probably going to continue with what they've laid out and have been doing with raising interest rates to continue to bring that back down to their goal of a 2% inflation rate. So next up, I skipped last week's video, but I wanted to hit on this. The July jobs report, we added 528,000 new jobs. Unemployment fell to 3.5%. So we've talked about this recession that we might be in, or the recession that might be coming, how no two recessions are the same, and we might go through a weird recession where we have recessionary numbers on growth, but a strong employment number picture. So that continues to show that's a good thing, but be interesting to see how that continues to go. I just wanted to throw that out because we always touch on the employment numbers just as a headline from month to month, and I didn't do it last week. Not a whole lot there. Next up, more of drama out of DC, drama from politics, which I find extremely frustrating because these thematics or this I don't know, the drama that comes out, I don't want to use drama again, but I couldn't think of the word. It just continues to divide the country. And I know that really there's only this divide big time to where it's problematic amongst a relatively small group of people. But nonetheless, the FBI went in, they raided Trump's Florida property. The story that is out is that he took some classified nuclear docs with him, and that's what they were going to looking for. I don't know if they found it. You've got one side that says it's all fake, it's not true. Another side believes that it is, and all it does is continue to divide these two polar sides, which just, I hate that within our country. So politics to me is always frustrating. This is even worse because, again, it's dividing people amongst our country. You have people talking about being ready to go to civil war, which I think is just lip service as they put on social media. I don't want to find out. And truthfully, I don't think that it gets that far because I think the vast majority, like while they're paying attention to this, they're not tying their happiness, their self-worth, their time to what's going on. There's a small group that really feels pulled on both sides of the aisle, that really feels pulled to this storyline. But nonetheless, that's going to be out there. Came out around the same time as CPI, so it kind of drew the attention away from that. But this is not going to be the end of it. More rhetoric that's going to come around this as we get closer to elections and new presidential elections. So this is just going to continue to be a headline. It didn't really do anything to the markets, which would be as expected. But I just think about the bigger picture, the frustration that I have with all of this stuff and the silliness that comes out of there. No, your TV did not glitch. The memory card got full, so I had to reposition the angle. But next up is advertising slowdown spreads beyond tech giants to hit TV networks and publishers. And this really has nothing to do with your financial plan, but it's just an observation I have. I wonder if this slowdown in advertising on TV and traditional is going to be changing because more and more people are able to do their own marketing on a much more affordable scale through social media, controlling their own content, controlling their own network to market to their groups. Now, this may be more of a big thing for smaller companies. I have some small companies, my wife has a small company. We're probably not going to buy TV ad space, but we can leverage social media, we can leverage the channels we've built, the audience we've built, and go directly marketing to them. And you're seeing more and more larger corporations go to TikTok, go to Instagram. And yes, there's still spending that goes there, but that's not the big TV networks. Plus, fewer people, I believe, are watching the TV networks. More of it's streaming, more of it's on demand, more of it's on the phone. So that may be another reason is advertising dollars are flowing to other areas because not as many people are watching the networks like they used to. So just an observation. I think that I would be surprised if advertising on networks goes back to what it used to be. I think this is just another move to the future of the way things are going to be going forward. So just something I found interesting and just a trend that's going on out there. And then finally, the one that I was most excited about is the Wall Street Journal had an article about consumers still spending on fun. Experiences, trips, doing things rather than collecting. Families are still spending money doing that where they might be pulling back on other places. And from a planning standpoint and creating a life of maximal happiness and minimal regret and doing the things that are most important, I think memories and spending time with people that you love is more important than collecting things and buying things. So it's good to see that as we come out of years of being kept up in our houses, slowly getting back to normalcy, but then also reevaluating what's most important to us through that process, that it's the experiences. And that you can see that people are paying attention to, yes, inflation's going on, where do I need to cut back? I'm going to cut back on the things that don't really bring me a lot of value and don't bring me a lot of happiness, and I'm still going to try to allocate my dollars to those experiences and those fun things that do. So that makes me happy to see because I want people to create lives that have a lot of memories and have a lot of meaning rather than have a lot of stuff. So it's cool to see that people are spending on the experience stuff still. All right, that's it. So hope you had a great day. Hope you had a great weekend, and we'll let you get to your day. So thanks for tuning in as always, and we'll see you all in the next episode.